A very good morning to all our Sports Today family members. We now have three of the most important games in the World Cup coming up. 15th, 16th, 19th. 15th is India versus New Zealand in Wankhede Stadium, Mumbai. 16th is the Australia versus South Africa encounter in Kolkata. But it is on the second semi-final where there is going to be plenty of doubt. Are we going to see one team enter directly into the final because of rain or weather? I will tell you all that in this morning wrap that I am going to present to you. But prior to the Australia versus South Africa encounter, I will focus on the India versus New Zealand semi-final at the Wankhede Stadium. We all know that Rahul Dravid, the head coach, had an assessment of the pitch. He checked out the pitch. He wondered what it was all about. Today in the press conference, maybe Rahul Dravid will come. Rahul Dravid will come for the press conference and then he might just state that what kind of a pitch it is, what are the conditions, how did he view the pitch. Maybe on all those fronts, today at 5:45 p.m. IST, we could have the press conference of Rahul Dravid. So, what should India have in their strategy against New Zealand? Number one, whenever you have looked at Mumbai, it's been a very tough chasing ground. Barring the Afghanistan versus Australia miracle, every single game that you played at Wankhede, batting first has been very easy. After that, it's become very difficult. There is early movement, there is seam, there is a bit of skid because of the Mumbai breeze and also because you'll get a lot more skid of the wicket. The red soil at the Wankhede might ensure that, okay, perhaps batting first is the mantra. Because remember, in 1987 also, India were the overwhelming favourites. But in a day game, England batted first. And then after that, India were just undone by England. And that's why they lost while chasing. So even in 2019, if you look at it, India lost while chasing. So necessarily having a target in front of you might not be the right way to go. Set a target and then defend it. Maybe that's the way India will want to look. But remember, New Zealand is a tricky opponent in the knockout stages. And that is the same thing that Ross Taylor has stated. Ross Taylor in one of the interviews stated that India might be slightly nervous in facing New Zealand. Come to think about it. 3 times India have played New Zealand in the knockout stages of the ICC World Cup. ICC knockout events, you look at it. 3 times India have lost. 2000 Champions Trophy final, then you look at 2019 the World Cup semi-final and then the 2021 the World Test Championship final. Each and every time India have been undone by New Zealand. Will India finally break the jinx? They look very, very good for it because remember at home, since New Zealand do not have a good record against India, they will be the favourites heading into it. India are the favourites, let us make no mistake about it. And if they beat New Zealand, then most likely the cup might come back home after 12 years. So, India versus New Zealand is shaping up to be a blockbuster encounter. We could have our 4th thriller in this World Cup. Remember, we have just had 3 thrillers if you have to look at it, loosely speaking. But a real thrilling encounter for India, that might come up on November 15th. Remember, it is the one stage where India will be 2 steps away from glory, but 1 step away from disaster. That's how very fine the margins are in a World Cup semi-final. So India versus New Zealand, a repeat of the 2019 World Cup semi-final as well. One hopes that for all the other billion fans, the result does not go the way of the Black Caps. But the Black Caps are a very, very determined lot indeed. Today on November 14th, one more cricketer is going to be inducted into the ICC Hall of Fame, and that is Aravinda de Silva. Ari was a legend, and the way how he played, he transformed Sri Lanka cricket in a big, big way. Because of Aravinda de Silva, Sri Lanka cricket reached big heights. But now looking at the current state of Sri Lankan cricket, you have to really, really feel sorry for them. Because now they finished 9th in this World Cup and now they are not even going to play the ICC Champions Trophy. What is the future for Sri Lanka cricket? That is a big, big question mark about it. But there is one thing to celebrate if you are a Sri Lankan, and that is Aravinda de Silva's entry into the ICC Hall of Fame today. That's going to happen in Mumbai. We were all having this debate, right? Who has the greatest ODI knock? Well, the king has spoken, the original king. Sir Viv Richards, he himself stated that Glenn Maxwell's knock of 201 is the greatest I have ever seen. He rated that 189 that he hit in the World Cup against Sri Lanka, that he looked at it and said, no, Maxwell's knock was unbelievable. He was already sitting, okay, Australia are 7 down for 91, congratulations to Afghanistan. But when he later on saw that Australia had chased it down with Maxwell scoring 201 with all the injuries that he had, Viv Richards said it was the most unbelievable ODI knock that I have ever seen. So Tendulkar, Viv Richards, Virat Kohli calling it a freak. Now 3 of the greatest ever. You will have to agree that Glenn Maxwell's knock is the greatest that we have ever seen. Kapil Dev's 175, we do not have TV footage because it was never shown. So, because it was not shown and because this was there in front of billions and billions, Maxwell's knock has to be there as one of the greatest ever. South Africa skipper Temba Bavuma practiced in the Eden Gardens yesterday and he showed little discomfort because he was having a hamstring injury. But one believes that Temba Bavuma is playing through pain because he wants to lead South Africa to glory this time around. South Africa, remember, they have lost 2 games, one against the Netherlands, one against India. And the loss that they had against India was quite disastrous. And because of that, they chased against Afghanistan, which would give them a slight bit of confidence. And heading into the clash against Australia, they have won 4 consecutive ODIs. And in the last 16, they have only lost 3 games. So, if you have to look at it, South Africa versus Australia, the Proteas actually start as the favourites. And if you thought India versus New Zealand has a 4-year grudge, Australia versus South Africa is a 24-year grudge. As I have been mentioning, 1999 Edgbaston, that chapter will be closed if Australia lose to South Africa. If South Africa win in the semi-final, that one stage where they have never gone past, then South Africa will have erased most of the pain that has inflicted them. They lost in 1999, they lost in 2003. Technically, they didn't lose it in 1999, they tied it. But because of a net run rate difference of 0.01, Australia managed to get through to the final. And because of that, 24 years, the pain has been haunting South Africa and they'll want to really erase it this time around. And they could have some help. Ladies and gentlemen, potentially, you could be having an India versus South Africa final at Ahmedabad on November 19th. Why? Because on the 16th and on the 17th, there is cyclonic disturbances and you're going to see rain in Kolkata on both the days. 16th and 17th, heavy rain is predicted in Kolkata and many weather experts are predicting a washout, a total washout on all the days. So, because South Africa finished second in the points table, they will go through to the final. And what is the reserve day provisions? Remember, every World Cup semi-final and final has a reserve day. If the match stops at that particular time, then it will resume from the time where it has begun the next day. You saw it in the India versus New Zealand match in July 2019, where it stopped at that particular time. Later on, it again resumed. So that is why this might be the situation yet again in the second semi-final. Mumbai, the weather is absolutely fine. There is no problem about it. But Kolkata has got a weather problem. 2 days. And there is a reserve day for both the semi-finals. If there is rain on the 16th, then the match can happen on the 17th. But if 17th also is washed out, South Africa will go through to the final on November 19th at the Narendra Modi Stadium. So, you could potentially see an India versus South Africa final. You could see a New Zealand versus South Africa final. But Australia will have to pull off something spectacular to ensure that the weather does not play truant in that. And that's why one hopes that the weather experts are proven wrong. One hopes that the weather does not intervene. And because of that, South Africa versus Australia, we hope to see a full game, not a rain-interrupted match. For the 8th year, Novak Djokovic will end as the number 1 ranked player in tennis. He continues to break records because in the ATP final that was held in Turin, he just had to win one game. And in that one game that he played against Elgar Rune, he managed to beat him, and that's why he will end the year as number 1, irrespective of whether he wins the ATP finals title. Remember, Djokovic has won it all, and in 2024, he is gunning for Paris Olympics gold. If he does that, he will have completed the Golden Super Slam. Only Andre Agassi has done that. Meaning, what is the Golden Super Slam? Olympics, all 4 Grand Slams, year-ender. Rafael Nadal has never won the ATP year-ender, and he may never win it. Roger Federer, on the other hand, never won the singles gold. If Djokovic does that, he joins Andre Agassi as the only individual to have won the career Super Slam. All 4 ATP Grand Slams, the year-ender, and the Olympic gold. So we are gearing up for the semi-finals in a big way. Today there is going to be a press conference at 5:45 p.m. After that, India will practice in the night. Yesterday, New Zealand practiced in the night. So let's see how that goes. If the press conference is any indication, maybe Rahul Dravid will come for that. So that's the way we look at this press conference that's going to be held today at 5:45. India versus New Zealand, November 15th, big day. November 16th, Australia versus South Africa. Rain is predicted in that. So let's hope the rain clears away and that we have a full game in hand. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on Sports Today. Tap that bell icon so you know when we go live. And don't forget, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Bye-bye.